Good evening, Rams. My name is Adam Carlson.
And I'm Bella Walser. Welcome to NoCo Nature, a brand new show that is all about the natural landscapes and opportunities of northern Colorado.
That's right. Get ready because our nature crew is about to take you on a journey you'll never forget.
We start tonight's show with our resident weather wizard, Adam Carlson. Will it rain or shine this May? You'll just have to find out.
Then we will go ahead and give you the latest nature updates happening in Fort Collins.
After that, Adam will take you on a fun road trip to Red Feather Lakes. Pack your bags because we are about to go camping.
Then take a look into CSU's Bug Zoo and see how the zoo is working to raise interest in entomology.
And a look into CSU's Disc Golf Club. Tonight's show ends with a look into the night sky with Abby Flores.
Sit back and relax, and let's take a look at all things NoCo Nature starting right now. Good evening, Rams, and welcome to the first weather report of NoCo Nature. Here we will go through what you can expect for the month at hand and a look into what activities may feel just right to do. For the month of May, you can expect temperatures to be around 70 and 44. Obviously, there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but that's the average, as all of this is. For rainfall and snowfall, you can expect rain on 8 different days and snow maybe just once this month, but on average it's around 2.2 inches. Hopefully we don't have that in front of us. Daylight for 14.5 hours. Now, during the month of May, there's lots of things you can do, but I personally would recommend that you just do what you can start with, the simple stuff, hiking, biking, and camping. Just some simple things that anyone can hop into as long as they just get a little bit of equipment. But for a more advanced activity, I'd recommend climbing. Climbing is a bit harder to get into, but once you learn the basics of it, it's pretty simple. Just get a buddy who knows the routes, or you can go to a local climbing gym and take some lessons about how to use all the equipment. And that brings me to the end of the activity rundown. We are at the time of year where it feels you cannot go wrong with whatever you do outdoors. It may be worthwhile to start planning your next trip for when classes get out. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks, Adam. It really has been warming up lately, and you could see it with all the new flowers blooming out on campus. The annual Flower Trial Gardens is one of the most popular spots on campus. Located outside the University Center for the Arts, you will find an array of pots that will soon have vibrant flowers coming out of them. There are over 1,000 different cultivated varieties of annuals. The main purpose of having this garden is to research how flowers perform under Rocky Mountain conditions. It is why the word trial is in the name. Plants are known to provide ambience and relieve stress. One of our anchors, Abby Flores, found a student painting outside.
This is like my favorite place to come in town, and I like being here like in all seasons. So I like to come here in like the winter when there's like nothing, and then like in the spring when it's like just a little bit, and in the summer when like obviously everything's very beautiful.
It is a super peaceful area and a cool place to check out the next time you feel like going on a walk.
With people going traveling for summer break, more roadkill can be noticed on the road. As thousands of people travel in and out of the state, the population of ground squirrels has decreased. According to CSU, more than 10% of adult female golden-mantled squirrels would be deceased every year, a number that would be even higher for smaller mammals. To keep this from happening, CSU urges people to use public transportation when possible to keep more cars off the road. Now we are going to take a quick break, but stay tuned to find out about one CSU class that is putting a new perspective on trail work.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Welcome back from the break. CSU is known for its large variety of innovative classes, but this year there's been a new kind of class offered here. The IU 180 classes are part of a new initiative to change the way we see gen ed classes, thinking towards a thriving planet. This past weekend, 3 classes taught between Robin Walter and David McIver all made a trip out to Red Feather Lakes to bring their classes to a satisfying conclusion.
The equine science class that I teach is called Packing and Outfitting, in which students learn how to take horses into the mountains and camp safely with them. And the Teagle Foundation class is a class called Encountering the More Than Human World. Its genres intersect art, philosophy, poetry, and invites students to think about how it is that we encounter the world around us and how it encounters us in turn.
A few of us who are offering this seminar were really inspired to take students out of doors, right? I mean, we're teaching this class about how to live in a thriving environment and a thriving planet, and we're teaching in these windowless rooms in the basement of these buildings at CSU, and it felt a little bit disconnected from the actual world out there.
If it weren't for this class, I would not have gone on this trip. I would not have had the open mind. I would have been scared about, like, who are all of these people and what are they doing, and we have no information. But instead it was just like awesome and totally something that I wanted to embrace and be a part of, because everything else that I've learned and seen through this class has done so much good for me.
One activity during the trip was working with Poudre Wilderness volunteers to renovate trails to benefit both the hiker experience and protect the natural environment.
Our thinking with the trail work is that it's one thing to go out and camp and tell stories by the campfire and roast s'mores, which we did and was a lot of fun, but it's another thing to really work with the natural environment and to roll up your sleeves and to do some labor. That's a transformative experience by definition, and so we thought that something like that would really take this whole experience to another level.
So we were building stairs. I know a lot of people had to dig up the grass to make new trail, repave the trail, redirect the trail, making it a place that can remain sacred and usable within the wilderness.
This trip is one that hasn't been done before at CSU and brought challenges to execute properly. But the experience of such a unique trip brought takeaways that may have otherwise been missed.
I think broadly, any opportunity to get folks outside and connected to nature invites genuine connections, both between students, between professors. I hope the kinds of conversations that took place between folks in different departments and different disciplines invite new perspectives and new ways of thinking. And I hope that students think about collaboration as they move into the world after these classes, and how you can draw from different ideas and form a more cohesive whole.
Just remembering to always keep an open mind, because you might seem so different surface level from the person next to you does not mean that you won't have any of the same interests and strive towards the same goal. And just because you're trying to achieve something differently doesn't mean that, your end goal is not the same. And I think we have a lot to learn from each other.
Trips like these are immensely difficult to put on through the university, but there are ways to support and encourage classes to bring them into nature.
We are, at the end of the day, responsive to and dependent upon student interest and demand for these sorts of things. Talk to your professors about it, right? Talk to people on campus about it. Talk to support staff. That will percolate up, and it will create a context in which we can have more of these things.
It was so much fun joining the classes and trying out my hands at the hard world of trail work. These classes are an incredible way to change a perspective towards a more thoughtful interaction with nature and the world as a whole.
If you didn't know, CSU has its own zoo on campus, but probably not the kind of zoo you're thinking. This zoo has creatures small enough to fit into just one room.
So that's going to harden, then she'll pull it back into her body. Hi, welcome to the Bug Zoo.
Located right here on campus, the Bug Zoo is a home for a multitude of creepy crawlies.
So this is the Bug Zoo, and we have a bunch of different animals in here. They're all arthropods, so anything that has 6 or more legs has no backbone. They're all invertebrates, and they have an exoskeleton. So we've got crustaceans, we've got arachnids, so spiders, scorpions, those kinds of things. And then we also have insects in here.
These bugs live a life that is well taken care of, with people to make sure that no harm or stress can come to the animals.
We do research in the zoo, but it's all considered like no harm research. So any research that goes on here is about welfare or how do you talk to people about entomology, and we wouldn't ever do any experiments that could lead to stress or harm to any of the arthropods in here.
Historically, it has been thought that insects cannot feel pain, However, recent studies have been showing that history may have had it wrong, but debates still continue.
We've been treating every animal in here in the last 10 years as though they can feel pain, and that isn't necessarily the way other arthropods get treated in lab situations because they're not part of the ethics laws for animal treatment. So everything in here gets treated very, very well. The crickets live like wild crickets until they get fed out. We do have to feed some of the animals to other animals in here, but it's a bug-eat-bug world out there.
While the Bug Zoo is not focused on research, it is focused on outreach and education.
We do a lot of outreaches. So we see about 50,000 people a year, and that's kindergarten up through senior citizens throughout the northern Colorado communities. The whole purpose of the Bug Zoo is to use living arthropods to get people excited about entomology, and then in the broader sense, get excited about agricultural biology.
I had a great time talking with Maya, and I learned so many interesting new things. I never thought I would say this, but I left thinking the bugs were kind of cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool that the whole thing's just about getting the information out about bugs. And I agree, they are kind of cute once you get all close to them and you realize they're not that scary.
Yeah, no, and she was like, the way she was explaining it and saying how like they just do so much to make sure the animals don't get stressed out or the bugs don't get stressed out, and that like they do so much to make sure the animals are comfortable. And I learned that you can't hold tarantulas, which I thought you can because everywhere holds tarantulas, but it's actually really bad for them.
Yeah.
And they do a lot to like look out for the bugs. I thought it was cool.
I think it makes me feel closer to a tarantula knowing they're just as stressed as I am during finals week.
Yes, exactly.
And it's really cool just knowing that we have our own little zoo here on campus. Stay tuned though, up next after the break, we will hear from Mike Walsh about CSU's very own disc golf club.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back from the break. I'm Mike Walsh, and this past week I got the opportunity to experience one of the fastest growing outdoor sports in disc golf while being taught by two of the most knowledgeable frisbee throwers at CSU.
CSU's Disc Golf Club has gone under the radar for quite some time, but I spent a day with two of their most important members to get a full rundown on the sport.
What's up? I'm Mike Walsh here with Jacob Janicki here at the Right Life and Outdoor and Recreation Sports, and we're going to talk about disc golf today. So start us off, Jacob. We're going into the discs. How about you talk us through them?
Yeah, so as far as being a beginner like you, we're mostly going to focus on the slower speed discs, and so we're going to focus on the putters and mid-ranges. So putters are all these things. They're kind of 1 to what's classified as 3 speed. You can kind of see up here. Some 4 speeds can get classified as a putter, but for the most part, it's 1 through 3 speed. Gotcha. And then you got your mid-range, which is going to have a little bit of a wider rim. It's going to be a little bit bigger of a disc. And so that little bit of width means that it will go a little bit farther. It'll push a little bit more through the wind. But essentially, for a beginner, our goal is we need to find a putter that feels comfortable in your hand and a mid-range that feels comfortable in your hand that flies nice and straight for you.
And after learning the basics with Jacob in the shop, we had to take it out to arguably the biggest site of disc golf action in Fort Collins, Eudora Park. And immediately after arriving, we got right into training with Jacob showing me the backhand and fellow teammate Ethan Peterson showing me the forehand.
We kind of want to keep everything a little more compact. So we're going to keep the disc for the most part between our shoulders. And we're going to want to try and release it before our hand gets way out in front of us. Go away from you when you go to start the throw.
Out. Nice. And you drive with your knee and your elbow and your hips kind of all at once, so you can take the strain off just your arm. Leading with your elbow here.
And while we got out onto the course, I had to ask the guys some of their favorite places to play around the area.
My favorite disc golf course in Fort Collins is honestly probably Eudora here, or anything in the mountains. Gotta love the mountains.
Oh, the mountain courses are absolutely fantastic. I think other things in the Fort Collins area, staying local, if you drive about 10 minutes up, you got Budweiser. There's a fantastic course on their property over by their manufacturing warehouse.
And after all that talking and all that training, we finally had to get out on the course, and it is clear that these guys are super serious about disc golf. So while the Disc Golf Club might not get as much recognition as others, it still has some awesome players and some really cool places to play, and there is definitely more than meets the eye to those baskets at the park.
It was a ton of fun learning more about the sport, and it was even cooler seeing those guys hit some pretty crazy shots. The sport is growing every day, and it might be time to get on board. But that's all the disc golf talk we have for you. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. After the break, we have Abby Flores telling us everything we need to know about the night sky in her segment, Astro Avenue.
Jason, let's go see your room.
Welcome, lovely stars. My name is Abby Flores, and we have finally made it to the most celestial part of our show, Astro Avenue, a segment where I will uncover the beauty of our solar system and give you a bit of astrology advice for May. Let's dive right in. May has a lot in store for us, particularly with moons. It is always important to keep a lookout for every phase because the moon is connected to our emotions, our feminine energy. The first major one we'll see is the flower moon on May 5th. It is how you know spring has truly begun. As the moon wanes, we will have a new moon in Taurus on May 19th. This is usually a good time to invest in your aesthetic since Taurus is ruled by Venus and that is all about beauty and outer appearance. Moving on to our first event, you will find that the ETA Aquarids meteor shower will be active up until May 27th. You will be able to see it from the constellation Aquarius. The best place to watch this happen is south in the Great Sand Dunes National Park. There will be little to no light pollution, making it perfect for you to stargaze and watch the streams of debris from our one and only Halley's Comet. The next event I would like to talk about is Mercury retrograde. I know what you may be thinking, this cannot be real, but did you know that all of it has to do with an optical illusion we are seeing in the sky? Mercury retrograde spins backwards sometimes, and astrologers have always connected that to chaos. And yes, I am here to tell you some of the things you should know about this retrograde season. The first is that it is in Taurus, the ruler of finance and security, so you may experience issues with money or having to fix broken things. The other thing you should know about it is that Mercury retrograde is never as bad as it seems. It is for our own good and transformations. We have been seeing quite a bit of Taurus lately. It is spring after all. And so whether you have a sun, moon, or rising in the sign, here is the horoscope I have for you. Taurus, you are not only elevated in style, but grounded too. You value routines and rituals that are your own. This month is all about embracing your inner power and showing people the authentic you, regardless of what they think. You are more confident than ever this season. Happy birthday. If you are curious on what your horoscope is, check out the Collegian website and search horoscopes. You will find the ones I write every week. This all concludes our Astro Journey of the month. Keep learning and keep exploring, Rams. Thanks for joining us and have a good starry night.